Multiplying and dividing fractions. Easy peasy. In this problem, we've got 3/5 times 2/7. And I think that multiplying fractions is probably the easiest of the four operations, the four basic operations that we can do. Because when we multiply fractions, we're finding a part of a fraction. We're a piece of it. And to do that, all we have to do is multiply the numbers in the top and the bottom. So 3 times 2 equals 6, and 5 times 7 equals 35. Now, why can't it all be that easy, right? But let's see what this looks like. It's always good to have a visual. So we're going to do, 3/5 times 2/7. So I have these fractions here. The first square, there are 3 out of the 5 rectangles that are shaded, so that's showing 3/5. And the second square, there are 2 out of 7 rectangles shaded, so that's showing 2/7. When I drag this square on top of the other, you can see that now I'm taking a part of a part. So the part that I'm taking, let me get my pen here, is this part right here. So there is my answer to my multiplication problem. 6 squares or 6 rectangles are shaded out of 35 because my length is 7 and my width is 5, which means I've got 35 rectangles. So I'm taking a piece of a piece, right? Another way that you can think of this, and let me move these off. Let me go back. Let's say I couldn't drag them over, right? So if I have 3/5 in that left square and I want to find 2/7 of that, I would have to split my shaded part into 7ths. This probably won't be as neat, but, and then I need one more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm only going to take 2 of them. So that would be that same, 2 strips. Since I have 7ths, I would take 2 of them. So that would be the same answer. I would still get 6. And my denominator would still be 35ths because, I would continue these lines. Same thing that we saw when we just dragged that other square over. Let's look at division. So division of fractions is also easy, but there is an extra step. So instead of just flat out multiplying top times top and bottom times bottom, there is one thing that we have to do. First of all, the 5, we need to write that as a fraction, right? So we can write any whole number as a fraction by just putting it over 1. Then the rule for division of fractions, you've probably heard it before. You've probably heard keep, change, flip, right? So we keep the first fraction, we change division to multiplication, and we flip the second fraction. Now we've got a multiplication problem. Easy peasy, right? We multiply 5 times 4 to get 20 on top, and then 1 times 3 to get 3 on the bottom. Now, like I explained with the addition and subtraction of fractions video, this answer is an improper fraction. And if you're in Algebra 1 or higher, you probably want to keep it as an improper fraction. But if you're solving or you're answering a word problem and you need to find out how many feet of something or like a length, then you may want to convert this to a mixed number. So 3 goes into 20, not 7 times. 7 would be too much, right? So 6 times, and 3 times 6 is 18. So that means we have a remainder of 2. So both of these answers are correct. It just depends on what form you need your answer to be in. But again, let's look at a visual of this division problem. So the division visual is really cool. All right, so I'm gonna shrink down a little bit here so that you can see more of the screen. So now we've got 5 divided by 3/4. So the first thing we need is we need 5 whole units. Then we're dividing by 3/4. So we're going to divide each of our whole units into fourths. Then we're going to separate those pieces out. Right? So we've got 4 pieces from each circle. Now, when we're dividing by 3/4, what we're trying to figure out is how many groups of 3/4 there are in 5. So let's arrange these fourths into groups of 3. Great. So how do we interpret this answer, right? That's the tricky part. Well, I've got one group of 3/4 here, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And then in this group, I'm missing a piece, right? So I don't have all 3. I only have 2 out of the 3 pieces that I would need to make that last group of 3/4. So my answer would be 6 2/3. So we got the same answer, but here's a nice visual so you can see exactly what we're doing. When we're dividing by a fraction, we're finding how many groups of that size fit inside the number.